Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Daily Dose Radio. This is Bible study the way it should be, right here in the Bible Bistro. 100% clean, hot and fresh. That's what we have for you today. So I hope you'll come in, sit down, have something cold or hot to drink, and we're going to study the Bible together, just you and me. And we're looking today at Psalm 99, verses 4 and 5. We looked last time, Monday and Tuesday of this week, at verses 1, 2, and 3. This was the first section of the psalm. It's divided up into 3 sections. Verses 1 through 3, 4 and 5 is section 2, 6 through 9 is section 3. And today we're in the second section. Last time we talked about the Lord reigning. He presently reigns. Now, he always has, but the psalmist was talking about right now. He is right now reigning. Now the psalmist is going to look to the future a little bit, and he's going to talk about what's going on and what will happen in Judah and in Jacob. So let's read verses 4 and 5. The king's strength also loveth judgment. Thou dost establish equity. Thou executest judgment and righteousness in Jacob. Exalt ye the Lord our God, and worship at his footstool, for he is holy. Again, you notice that we have the antiphonal piece here, which controls these sections. For he is holy, right there in verse 5. We'll get to that in a minute. But now we're talking about not the Lord reigning, but we are talking about the Lord reigning, because even over the king of the country, the Lord still reigns. And we're looking forward into the future. The king loves judgment. Now we're not talking about the king any longer, we're talking about the Lord. The Lord establishes equity. He executes judgment and righteousness in Jacob. How's he doing that? He's doing it through the king. So the Lord reigns. And yet, he uses a man on a throne over a country to do what? Create love for judgment, establish equity, and execute judgment and righteousness in that country. So the Lord, overseeing all things, presently reigning right now, is going to create a condition in which life is going to be enhanced and made healthy for now and the future because of the government that the Lord puts in place. He always does this. He always has. He always will. He establishes the governments not only of Jacob and Judah, but he also establishes the governments around the world. It's just a biblical fact. It's a principle of theology that God is sovereign, and he's exercising his sovereign will through the governments that he's put in place. Now, sometimes those governments don't act very well, and they're wicked and they're corrupt. But God's still reigning, and he's still in charge, and he's going to make all things right. He is the one that establishes equity. He's the one that executes judgment and righteousness. So even though you have a government that is not being above board, that's being wicked and underhanded, God's the one that's going to take care of that, because he won't allow that to last for very long. And he'll remove those men in place and put someone else there so that the people can experience peace, or at least, the peace that can come through government, the order that can come through government. The only real peace that we have in the world is the peace that we receive through believing in the Lord Jesus Christ. Then we have verse 5, exalt ye the Lord our God, and worship at his footstool. Again, we have a reference to the Ark of the Covenant. The mercy seat is sometimes called God's footstool. So not only does God reign because he sits on the footstool, the Lord reigneth, he sitteth between the cherubims, but now it says, exalt ye the Lord our God, and worship at his footstool, that is, before his presence at the throne, the mercy seat, for he is holy. Again, can't you just hear those two groups? One group singing out, exalt ye the Lord our God, and worship at his footstool, and the other group saying, for he is holy. He is holy. And I hope you'll join me next time on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.